From PastorBobReed.com, All Roads Lead to Rome, Part 4, 7 September 2014. Read by Dave Ridley, with possible mispronunciations here and there, for which he apologizes. Quote, All doves. The three major cults of the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Seventh-day Adventists were all founded by Freemasons and funded with Freemason financial backing and guidance for one purpose only: to undermine and destroy Orthodox Protestant Bible faith that came out of the Reformation of October 31st, 1517. I state this in order that the low information folks can get up to speed here. This series of posts will answer lots of your questions about the world around us. If you haven't read Part 1 of this series of posts, I recommend you go back and read Part 1 and save it to your hard drive, because your personal destiny may depend on being an informed Christian. Hosea 4:6 said, quote, My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. Unquote. While this specific passage was addressed first to the Jews, it has a prophetic value and implications for the rest of the Christian world. Everything that the world has experienced since October 31st, 1517, directly or indirectly has been part of the larger global effort to restore Rome to its ancient pagan power. In this series, I will provide a running bibliography that will confirm, validate, and provide additional information related to anyone having an interest in what I am sharing in this series. A significant number of the books listed at the bottom of this post actually can be read online at no cost to the reader. With each segment of this series, I will repeat the list by adding book authors' titles as they are recalled from my memory. This is a topic so large that it took me years to assemble all the important elements that make up the big picture. Not only were the three named major cults founded by Freemasonry and funded by Freemasonry, they have been infiltrated by Masonic Jesuit agents. The speculative branch of Freemasons, non-craft Masons, date their origin to 1717 with the establishment of the Grand Orient Lodge of London and Westminster. The Jesuits were founded in 1534, almost 200 years before the Freemasons. The Jesuits have been the major players in virtually all world events. The evidence has been accumulating by historians and researchers that show the Jesuits were instrumental in the creating of a new Greek text as the basis of toppling the King James Bible. I certainly do not hate Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, or even Roman Catholics. Rather, to the contrary. But what I do despise is the satanic Luciferians behind the religious systems that have been infiltrated, deceived, and corrupted the thinking and belief systems of countless millions. This is just as true for other denominations as well, as including the United Methodists, Baptists, and Presbyterians that have been deceived and manipulated by the forces of Lucifer that have infiltrated all denominations. This single culminating event brought together all the various elements that precede the current growing one world order. It was the 1782 Congress of Wilhelmsbad, when they brought together the various secret societies and factions that controlled European power, wealth, privilege, and prestige. For it included the Illuminati, Freemasons, Jesuits, and specifically Amschel Rothschild, Adam Weishaupt, among many others of the European aristocracy. The gathering lasted from July 16th to August 20th, 1782. Thus came forth the Illuminati, or Enlightened Ones. Former Roman Catholic Bishop Gerhard Buffard of Guatemala stated that the Vatican is the real spiritual controller of the Illuminati and New World Order, while the Jesuits, through the Black Pope, Jesuit General Friar Peter Hans Kolvenach, actually control the Vatican hierarchy in the Roman Catholic Church. There is a new successor to Friar Kolvenach as of a few years ago. Bishop Bouffard, who left the Roman Catholic Church and is now a born-again Christian living in Canada, based his statement after working 6 years as a Vatican priest, assigned to the specific task of passing daily sensitive correspondence between the Pope and the leaders of the Jesuit order, residing at Borg Santo Spirito 5, near St. Peter's Square. Yes, the man known as the Black Pope controls all major decisions made by the Pope, and he in turn controls the Illuminati, said Bishop Bouffard. I know this to be true since I worked for years in the Vatican and traveled with Pope John Paul II. The Pope takes his marching orders from the Black Pope, as the Jesuits also are the leaders of the New World Order, with the task of infiltrating other religions and governments of the world in order to bring about a one-world fascist government and a one-world religion based on Satanism and Lucifer, said the former Roman Catholic bishop. People can't imagine how evil and how much destruction they have caused and will cause, while at the same time using the perfect cover of hiding behind black robes and profession to be men of God. Bishop Bouffard's first-hand knowledge of the evil lurking within the hierarchy of the Vatican, and particularly the Jesuit order, confirms the testimony of other researchers, including Bill Hughes, himself a SDA pastor and author of the shocking books The Enemy Unmasked and The Secret Terrorists, as well as preeminent researcher of the Jesuit order, Eric John Phelps, author of Vatican Assassins. Bishop Bouffard's first-hand knowledge of the evil lurking within the hierarchy of the Vatican, and particularly the Jesuit order, confirms the testimony of other researchers, including Bill Hughes, himself a SDA pastor and author of the shocking book The Enemy Unmasked and The Secret Terrorists, as well as preeminent researcher of the Jesuit order, Eric John Phelps, author of Vatican Assassins. Bishop Bouffard claims the Jesuits act like the perfect chameleons, taking on the identity of Protestants, Adventists, Mormons, Baptists, and Jews with the intention of bringing about the downfall of America, as well as bringing the country under a one-world religion based in Jerusalem and under the control of their leader, Lucifer. I know firsthand that the Vatican controls and monitors everything in Israel with the intention of destroying the Jews, said Bishop Bouffard, adding, the true purpose of the Jesuit order is to orchestrate and control all leaders of the world in order to bring about a major worldwide conflict, which will eventually destroy America, the Middle East, and Israel. They destroy everything from within and want to bring about the destruction of the Catholic Church as well in order to usher in a one-world religion based on Satanism. This is also seen in the way priests worship in the Mass, actually worshiping the dead. Also, signs of Satanism are seen in many outward symbols, customs, and vestments displayed by the Church. After his service in Rome, Bishop Bouffard spent time in Africa and Guatemala, rising to a position of power within the Roman Catholic Church. However, with this religious power came affiliation and membership as a Freemason, becoming a 37th degree Masonic member, something supposedly frowned upon in the Roman Catholic Church, since, according to canon law, membership in a Masonic lodge brings immediate excommunication, so we are told. I might add here that this traditional Freemasonry only goes to the 33rd degree, but we have numerous reports indicating extending to even higher degrees, such as Bishop Bouffard was a member. According to Bishop Bouffard, Freemasonry is used by the Roman Catholic Church to carry out its secret plans, as many other high-level priests, bishops, cardinals, and even popes have joined secret societies along with others in other religions and governments, many working together to further the evil Illuminati agenda. His secrets back up reports, including a book authored by a former CIA agent. This surfaced in the early 1980s when French and Italian newspapers reporting more than 150 high-level priests with membership in Freemasonry's P2 Lodge and other secret societies as well. Bishop Buffard, a born-again and practicing Christian, said, "We must always pray for our leaders by openly denouncing evil and exposing the Jesuits for what they really are." After leaving the Roman Catholic Church, Bishop Buffard also made amends and said and asked the late Jesuit priest, Friar Alberto Rivera, for his forgiveness. Friar Rivera was one of the few Jesuit priests with the courage to expose the evil intentions of the Society of Jesus, coming forward telling how he worked as one of the Jesuit order's infiltrators in America with the job of infiltrating Protestant and Baptist churches with the intent of destroying them from within. Freemasonry has the largest representation of clergy in both the Baptist and United Methodist churches. When I was a bishop and still loyal to the church, I once wrote a letter denouncing Friar Rivera and advocating his death, said Bishop Buffard. When I realized the truth, I searched out Friar Rivera and asked his forgiveness. We became good friends, and I know he was telling the truth. He was an honest man who also found God. I know the Jesuits tried to change the truth, saying he never was a priest and destroying all evidence backing that up. They have tried to do the same to me, but Friar Rivera was telling the truth without question. I know that for a fact, and even was with him several weeks before his death. He was suffering terribly after being poisoned with acid. Like I said, you can't imagine the suffering and destruction that has been caused and will be caused by the Jesuits. In an article entitled Alberto, the Big Brouhaha, an unknown writer who followed Bishop Buffard's career and his connection with Friar Rivera had this to say, including the Vatican's difficulty in trying to cover up both Friar Rivera and Bishop Buffard's accusations. Then there's the corroborating testimony provided by Friar Gerard Buffard. He was a high-ranking bishop born in Quebec, Canada. He rose from the lower levels of his order to become an assistant for many years to popes such as Paul VI and John Paul II. He converted to Protestantism and claims he was the man who received the orders to eliminate Rivera. In a documentary called Unveiling the Mystery Behind Catholic Symbols, Buffard shows a fancy 18-karat gold-plated pen containing a special disappearing ink with which the Holy Office authorities signed top-secret documents. He claims, "With this pen I am holding, I signed the order to kill Dr. Rivera." Pretty dramatic cloak and dagger stuff. His previous high-profile position would make him an easy target for discrediting, yet the silence is deafening. The Vatican also has shown its own credibility problems to contend with. From a historical context, Alberto's claims to be a Jesuit working undercover to destroy Protestant churches is not as far-flung as it might seem. The Jesuits were created in 1541 by Ignatius de Loyola for the very purpose to destroy the work of the Reformation, although some Jesuits dispute this naturally. They engaged in countless dirty tricks, assassinations, and treasonous plots during their heyday. The office of the Inquisition was an outgrowth of their mission, which resulted in the torture and/or murder of millions of innocent people for heresy. That department has since been renamed the Holy Office, but the Jesuits have never bothered with a name change. How much their goals have changed with time is also an unknown. Neither organization is very transparent, and both serve the interests of the Pope. Bad reputations are not easily forgotten, and especially since the current Pope himself is a Jesuit. The Jesuits and the Freemasons are always quick to respond with refutations concerning their mission and reputation, naturally, as often is the case in refuting the truth. Alberto Rivera has had none, quote, Alberto Rivera had none of the resources. His own story came from him alone. It wasn't revised and honed for decades by committee before Chick Publications published his story, unquote, said Bishop Buffard. After 20 years of investigation, all the Pope's resources have failed to prove Alberto Rivera was a fake. Of course, Alberto failed to prove his allegations against the Vatican as well, so at best the contest is still a draw. Maybe future developments will yield something more dramatic, but don't count on it. We will probably never know if Alberto Rivera was really real unless the Pope were to come straight out and confess it. It has about as much chance as a UFO landing on the White House lawn. It is definitely food for thought, and far more scary than any premise aired on the X-Files. Throughout history, the Jesuit order has been tied together with war and genocide, being formally removed from over 80 countries over the last 3 centuries. As researchers claim, the Jesuits are the real spiritual contenders of the New World Order, and one of the most documented books is Vatican Assassins by Eric John Phelps. With more than 28 major universities from coast to coast, with Georgetown University near the U.S. Capitol, their senior institution, the Jesuit Order, has created a strong political and financial foothold here, including secret control of the CFR and control of many banks like Bank of America and the Federal Reserve banking system. The Jesuits are in a catbird seat to cover its trail. The Bank of America started out as the Jesuit-owned Bank of Italy in San Francisco during the gold rush era of California. House of Rothschild has been the Vatican's fiduciary since the early 1800s. The reason for this was the Bible's position on usury, and so to get around the sticky issue of charging interest on borrowed funds, the Vatican contracted out the task, letting the Jewish bankers be their lending agents and lend out at usury interest. Interestingly enough is the fact that the 3 major cults, the Mormons, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Seventh-day Adventists, all claim to be, without exception, the one and only true church. Every one of them will tell you, "We are just like you," meaning a Christian believer. But they are heavily into mind programming with their doctrine and all tend to be coy about their particular belief system. They never are out in the open about what they really believe. This has raised red flags, in my way of thinking, in dealing with the pre-wrath rapture babble site, and a couple of critics that want to debate me and nitpick my posts. I am too busy to play the kind of mind games they want to engage in. Their tactics reveal their agenda, and they like to major in minors, nitpick little points here and there to make them sound like they are major arguments and to distract you from the greater matters of importance. I don't subscribe to or engage in debating with the Greek or Hebrew matters when they do not use the mathematically proven, God-inspired, validated, heptadic signature of the KJV Bible that I use, when I know they are using the Nestle-Aland Greek text, used today by nearly all theological institutions. It is based on the corrupt, critical Westcott and Hort New Greek text, which has changed the Greek text thousands of times and has replaced functional equivalents for dynamic equivalents many more thousands of times in the modern translations, such as the NIV and the NKJV. Jesuits are masters of the divide and conquer strategy, also known by the other term, the Hegelian dialectic, that I have noted previously. Because I went to a Christian college, and the fact that I majored in history and pre-ministry, I was taught all about the Hegelian dialectic method used by Rome to destroy the Protestant Bible-believing beliefs.